Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today, the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the final game of a 4-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for Arizona, left-hander Cole Drake, and for the Padres, right-hander Walker Buehler. Hi, good everybody. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch is coming up in Phoenix at Chase Field at 6:40 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, you'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Pedro Gutierrez chats with USA Today baseball insider Bob Nightengale. We check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. from inside the Padres radio booth in just a little bit. Our keys to today's game and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter the day 59-56, D-backs at 61-54. Padres trailing Arizona and Philadelphia by 2 games in the NL wildcard standings entering today. They hold the final 2 wildcard spots. Padres 4-5 against the Diamondbacks this season, still 4 games remaining between the 2 teams, including tonight. Padres have won 9 of their last 12. D-backs have won 6 of their last 8. Well, the Padres fell in this very, very important series on Monday in the series opener. They bounced back on Tuesday with great pitching and a big offensive night. But last night, well, unfortunately, not the same. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Starting pitching matchup last night, Casey Mize against young left-hander Mitch Bratt on the mound for Arizona. Bratt tossing 3 scoreless innings to begin his night. Mize in his Padres debut worked out of trouble in the first 2 innings. Bottom 3, D-backs took a 1-0 lead on a sacrifice fly. Next up, Tim Tawa.
1-2, Mize delivers. And Tawa hits it in the air deep to left field. That's going to be his 2nd home run of this series. A 2-out solo shot. And the Stanford Cardinal takes the Auburn Tiger out of here. It's 2-0.
D-backs led 2-0 after 3. Arizona again got the bats going in the 4th inning against Mize. Tyler Locklear hit a 1-out double. Ryan Waldschmidt singled. That sent Locklear to 3rd. Lars Nootbaar was next.
Good speed at first base. He takes off. The pitch ripped into right field and a base hit. Locklear will come home from 3rd. Waldschmidt all the way around there. And an RBI single for Lars Nootbaar. His first hit is a Diamondback, and it's 3-0 here in the 4th.
The hits kept coming against Mize. Corbin Carroll hit an RBI single to make it 4-0. Geraldo Perdomo singled to load the bases again. Mize then walked Gabriel Moreno to bring in a run. It was 5-0. That was it for Mize. Kyle Hart came in. Didn't get much better. Sac fly made it 6-0. Another 2-run double for Ildemaro Vargas. There we go. Made it 8-0. All the runs charged to Casey Mize. A career high in earned runs allowed. Padres only had 1 hit, a single, against the young left-hander Bratt. He went 7 shutout innings. Padres did make some noise in the 9th inning. They were trailing 10-0, but Fernando did hit one a long way.
Pitch here is in the air, deep to left center field. Forget it. Fernando, oh my goodness, up over everything in left center, atop the big wall. And 1 pitch after Ginkel brushes him back. Fernando with a very long home run to left center, and the Padres will not be shut out here tonight.
How about 465 here at Chase Field?
Later in the inning, Padres loading the bases for Gage Workman.
A 1 pitch, Workman reaches for it, lines it out towards left center field. That's going to get down. First hit is a Padre for Gage Workman, a big one. Song and France have scored. Merrill's on his way, a bases clearing double for Workman. And now a 10-4 game in the ninth.
So 4 runs in the 9th inning for the Padres, but not nearly enough. 10-4 was our final score, and now the Padres trying to split this series in Arizona with first pitch again coming your way at 6:40. As we get ready for this one, let's go to Chase Field in Phoenix.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Tony, to me, this feels like a more significant game than most are over the course of 162, even here in early August. We've got a ton of baseball left. But the bottom line is today's game, if you win it, you lose it. It's the difference between being 3 games behind Arizona or 1 game behind Arizona in the wild card standings. It's the difference between being 4-6 against the D-backs or 5-5 against the D-backs with 3 meetings remaining between these two teams at the end of the year. Am I overdoing it by saying that this game in particular here tonight is uniquely important to the Padres?
Yes and no. I mean, technically, it's just a yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they lose this game. If somehow it came down to a tiebreaker, they'd have to sweep that final series
Right.
in order to own the tiebreaker. But if you are... And as a player and as a manager and as a staff, you know that. You're aware of that. But if you put too much emphasis on it to the team, to the guys who are out there, if you go out and lose, it could feel like a letdown when there's just too much season ahead to kind of feel that way. So without a doubt, this game is important because you don't want to leave it to that and having a sweep at the end there. But at the same time, you still got to recognize that even if that is the case, you still got to go out and play these other games.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, if you're the Padres, you play super, super well the final month and a half plus of the season, you might make those games at the end of the year not matter either way. That's kind of the goal. But I do want to ask you this, just to keep it on this note, Tony.
Yeah.
Not that the individual players have to treat it that way, but if you're Craig Stammen today, knowing that this game, is a little bit important at least, do you manage it any differently? Like from a bullpen perspective, do you be a little bit more aggressive here tonight than maybe you typically would on a Thursday in August?
I mean, all indications based off of what we heard during the scrum, no.
Okay.
It didn't seem like Craig was going to manage this game a whole lot different. But I think if they got a chance to win, he's going to go for the win. I think he's done that prior to this point in time. I think he's done it on the previous road trip, quite frankly. He managed like, you had to have it. And so if the Padres are in range, you're going to see him be aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to be any more aggressive, but I think these guys recognize that they got to get a win. It would make things a lot easier if they got a win today.
Yeah, it's like striking that balance for everybody right now between understanding it is not the end-all, be-all, but there is a little bit
There's some
more.
importance to it.
For sure. Let's talk about the pitching tonight. Start with Walker Buehler. There's no doubt since the All-Star break, Walker has been better. Did have a tough outing against Arizona last time he saw them. What will you be looking for from Walker Buehler in this one?
You just kind of waiting to see if he has one of those weird innings where he kind of loses command, because really outside of that, he's been great. And quite frankly, he's been a good luck charm for the Padres. They win most of the games he starts, it seems like. And so for Walker, it's been the same thing. Like when the starts where he doesn't have that one weird wonky inning, he's really good. When he does, he's still pretty good outside of that one inning. And so I think that's what you're looking for today. See if he can avoid it. This Diamondback lineup is explosive. They got a lot of pieces in that can do damage. And so, you miss your spot. It seems like they're making you pay right now. We'll see where Walker is here tonight. But he certainly is capable. We've seen it. Of shutting down a lineup like this.
Yeah, they didn't seem super explosive the first 2 games of this series, but I thought last night that big inning against Mize and then Hart, it was like all of a sudden it went from 2-3-0 to it was 8-0 in the blink of an eye. Left-hander Cole Drake on the mound for the Diamondbacks today, another guy the Padres have never seen. I'm not a Cole Drake expert. I'm not a Mitch Bratt expert, but it does seem like these guys are pretty similar. They're young left-handers. They don't seem to throw super, super hard. So, Tony, is it a good thing that you saw sort of a similar guy yesterday, or the fact that you struggled against that similar guy yesterday, is that a negative?
I don't think it's a negative. What you hope is that there's some lessons learned from facing the guy the last night. And the lesson is, just because he's throwing 91, 92 doesn't mean you can get big. Because that's what it seemed like to the Padres, especially early. I mean, once the young man kind of settled in, he was really good. But I think the first 3 innings, he made a lot of mistakes in the middle of the play, and Padres really didn't punish him at all. I think Ty was the only one who really squared up the baseball and got a knock. Outside of that, there was none. And so I think the lesson is, although it's a nice break from, the high velocity that you so often face in this league, you still got to be precise with the swing, right? You can't get big. You still got to take the swings within yourself. And I think, it's easy for a player having been in that spot. You have a run of guys where you're just facing hard thrower. You get a guy and you maybe take it for granted that I'm just going to be able to line this guy up. Same steps still have to apply, and hopefully that's the lesson learned from last night.
Tony, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 6:30. Thanks so much.
All right, Sam.
All right, that is Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for first pitch coming your way at 6:40. And like I said, we go out to Jesse and Tony at Chase Field at 6:30. We have a lot to do between now and then. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. When we come back, we'll also take our first look at the Padres lineup here today, our keys to today's game, much more on today's starting pitching matchup between young left-hander Cole Drake and veteran right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres. And again, we'll also hear from USA Today baseball insider Bob Nightengale. Get Bob's thoughts on the trade deadline, what the Padres did, and what some other teams did at the deadline as well. First pitch coming up at 6:40 in Arizona, right here on the Padres Radio Network. Our pregame coverage continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show as we get ready for this series finale in Arizona, the final game of a 4-game series. Remember, the Padres return home for the start of a 6-game homestand tomorrow, 3 against the Astros. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 against the Brew Crew, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So some good teams coming to town, making tonight's game even that more important from the Padre perspective. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. Looking out at Murphy Canyon on the 15 right now. Looks like traffic is moving pretty well on what is a very, very nice early Thursday evening here in America's finest city. Got to tell you, I walked in the studio for the pregame coverage today. I look up to my right, and we got preseason football on the TV. I don't even want to look at football right now. We got a pennant race going on here. I'm baseball mode. I can't look at football. What is it? It's August 6th. It's August 6th. I can't look at football. Get that off the TV. I'm just kidding. We'll enjoy the preseason football action and get you ready for Padres baseball on this Thursday evening. Taking a look at the lineup here today, looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Luis Rengifo in left field batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Ty France at first base batting cleanup. Jackson Merrill in center batting fifth. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting sixth. Gavin Sheets back in the lineup today, DHing and batting seventh. Freddie Fermin, the catcher, batting eighth. And Jake Cronenworth at second base and batting ninth, with again right-hander Walker Buehler on the hill. As we get ready for this one, first pitch coming your way at 6:40. Let's go to Arizona, hear from Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, I know every game is important, but obviously wild card on the line and maybe some tie-breaking implications as well. Is there a little bit more on the line tonight for this ball game than normal?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think right now, the space that we're in, we're 2 games behind these guys, so the best way to get closer is to beat them. So I think that's the number one priority today.
Got it. And obviously the tiebreaker thing becomes an issue also. Those games at the end of the season might be super important. I imagine every game against the Diamondbacks matters at this point.
Yeah, every game matters, whether it's a tiebreaker or not. We've got to win as many games as we can till the end of the season.
What have you liked about Walker over the last 3 games? It seems like that rest did him well.
Yeah, he's been a little bit better. He just has that one inning where he kind of loses it a little bit with the walks, but other than that, he's been great.
As far as losing a game back, is it a release point type thing, you think, or what kind of goes awry and he's been able to recover from it usually lately, but what kind of happens there, do you think?
Yeah, probably a little bit of trying to make pitches and trying to be a little bit perfect, and the other part is not quite being exact with your release point and all that kind of stuff, but all that stuff's kind of married together, and it can kind of come up, and it usually lasts for a couple batters, and then he gets back to it and he's fine.
Any update on Nick and Joe? I mean, obviously the day after was a big day, but day after can also be telling also.
Yeah, both, status quo continued with their throwing programs today, and, next steps will probably be a little bit different for Nick, but Joe's kind of on schedule to make his next rehab start. Possibly.
Different in what way? Like elbow pen?
We'll probably give him a couple extra days to, figure out what was going on and if you need to pull him back a little bit, or if we can just keep going.
Sheets because of the reverse splits in their pitcher? Is that simple?
More, he hasn't played in a while, and we need to get him in there, and he's feeling physically good, to go out there and do it.
Were you kind of waiting for him to feel physically up to it?
He was available off the bench the last 2 nights, but we were facing lefties. Yesterday's lefty had reverse splits, but he was tough on that. You can see last night he was tough on everybody. So I felt like this was the best day for him. The last day in Arizona, the last day on turf, kind of all matched up good for him.
Just to be clear, has there been anything new evaluation-wise with Nick? Or is it just because of what happened?
Yeah. I think anytime someone comes off the mound in the middle of an inning when they're rehabbing an elbow injury, we got to pause for just a little bit. It'd be in my opinion, a little reckless to go, hey, throw your bullpen 2 days later, make your start, 4 days rest, you'll be fine. I think we're really taking really good care of him. We're being a little bit more diligent, this week, and then, maybe recovers well and it wasn't an issue.
Craig Walker made a comment recently about maybe taking some more satisfaction in the team stuff and worrying less about his individual performance. Seems like a pretty big thing for a guy like that to feel and even say out loud at this point in his career.
Yeah, I think, ideally you have 26 guys that'll say stuff like that. But that's just not the case. This is an individual sport. Like a lot of these guys are kind of their individual entities, as they go through their Major League Baseball career. The idea for us is to make a cohesive unit that we can win as many games as we can and take this team to a place it's never been before. I think Walker has felt that since he's been here. He's feeling that currently, and he wants to be a part of something that could turn into something special, and I think that was kind of probably what he's articulating right now. But anytime a guy's like team over individual, I'm all about that.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig in our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. You got a little update there on Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove. Sounds like everything is all systems go, really, for both those guys. Now, it does sound like it's going to be a little bit different for Joe, where he will have a rehab start coming up, I would assume probably at some point this weekend. You heard a reporter there say Sunday, and Craig wouldn't commit to it, but that would be the normal days of rest from the start he made on Tuesday at Lake Elsinore. And remember, they don't play minor league games on Mondays, so you would think Sunday would probably be the day for Pivetta. It does sound like they could push him back a little bit farther, but we're going to see what the deal is with Nick Pivetta. But it certainly sounds like he is, going about his rehab process kind of as usual. So as we get updates on those two guys, we will be sure to pass them along, whether it be from us or from Craig Stammen in his pregame media availabilities. First pitch coming up at 6:40 in Arizona. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We take a look at the hot category. Remember, Padres only had one single through the first 8 innings last night, so the hot category sort of took a hit last night. Jackson Merrill took an 0 for last night, but in his 16 games prior, he batted .403 with 6 home runs and 16 RBIs. Freddie Fermin had 2 hits on Tuesday. He's batting .345 since returning from the IL on July 17th. The not category, Gavin Sheets, who is back in the lineup today against the left-hander. He is only 6 for his last 54. It has been a really, really rough go for Gavin Sheets. I can't recall Gavin having any stretch like this in his time as a Padre so far, so fingers crossed Gavin can get it going here today. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for this series finale, final of 4 games in Arizona. Let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Just a few quick headlines for you. White Sox leading the Red Sox 7-5 at Fenway Park in the 5th inning right now. Red Sox have been red hot. They're looking to sweep the White Sox today. Boston has a Major League best 30-5 record going back to June 25th. It is the best 35-game stretch in Red Sox franchise history, and the Red Sox have been around a long, long time. Struggling Twins ace Joe Ryan is expected to need a stint on the IL after an MRI on a lower body injury revealed a mild left glute strain. So that's a blow for the Twins. And finally, a beloved longtime Giants broadcaster and former Major League pitcher, somebody that all of us share press box with and the radio booths with, the TV booths with. Mike Krukow is retiring from the booth after this season following a nearly 4-decade run in the booth. Beloved broadcaster in San Francisco, and he announced today through the Giants on social media that he will retire at the end of this season. Great broadcaster, Mike Krukow. And that is quick look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll hear from USA Today baseball insider Bob Nightengale. We have our keys to today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40 in Arizona on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in just about 20 minutes. First pitch coming your way at 6:40 at Chase Field in Phoenix. Final game of this 4-game series between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And as we said last night, as has been discussed already on our pregame coverage here today, this is a big game for the Padres, and I'm not telling you here on August 6th it's a must-win game. There are no must-win games in an 162-game baseball season on August 6th. However, I will just put it this way. Here is the difference for the Padres between winning and losing tonight's game. If they win tonight's game, if they win tonight's game, they're 1 game behind Arizona for a wild card spot. If they lose tonight's game, they're 3 games behind Arizona for a wild card spot. That's not even really, I think, the biggest thing. The biggest thing, I think, is you lose tonight's game. You're 4-6 against Arizona this season with 3 games remaining against them. You win tonight's game. You're 5-5 against them. Essentially what that means is if the final 3 games of the season against Arizona end up being very meaningful, let's say you're battling with the Diamondbacks for a playoff spot, well, the tiebreaker is going to very much, a possibility it comes into play, meaning in order to secure that tiebreaker, if you're the Padres, you lose today, you would have to go sweep the final series of the season against Arizona. So that is why today's game, it at least has a little bit of extra juice to it, I think, from a Padres standpoint. So we'll see. But, not the end of the world. If it doesn't go well today, we'll see how it goes. But just so you know, that's kind of what's at stake in this uniquely, I think, important final game of this 4-game series in Arizona. Let's give you the latest on the other Padres injuries aside from Pivetta and Musgrove, who we heard about earlier, and a little bit of an update on the D-back injury front as well.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, the Padres have a number of guys still on the IL aside from Pivetta and Musgrove. David Morgan in the midst of a rehab assignment with AAA El Paso. Jason Adam still working his way back. He has not resumed throwing yet while dealing with that right shoulder strain. Samad Taylor on the IL with a right oblique strain. Miguel Andujar, remember, also on the IL still with a right wrist fracture. As far as the Diamondbacks, Jordan Lawler, one of their infielders, he's on the IL with a hamstring strain. Justin Martinez, he's still recovering from Tommy John surgery. He's a high-octane arm in the back end of their bullpen. Sounds like he will be back at some point this month from Tommy John. The D-backs also without Zach Gallen, who's dealing with right elbow inflammation. Corbin Burns is, hoping to be back in September as he continues to recover from Tommy John surgery, and a number of other guys on the IL for the D-backs as well, but those are a few of them. And look, the D-backs are a team, as we've discussed, I think it was with Tony earlier in the series, they're a team that they're waiting on guys to get back, and they're kind of hopeful that that will give them a little boost in the final month and a half plus of this season. We shall see. And that's a look at today's injury report. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have 3 games going on right now. We have 7 final scores already today. Number of teams also had the day off. White Sox leading the Red Sox 7-5 in the 6th inning at Fenway Park. Chase Meidroth and Connor Wong home runs in that one apiece for each team. Braves leading the Marlins 2-0 in Atlanta in the 4th inning. Ronald Acuna Jr. a 2-run home run in the 3rd to give Atlanta a 2-0 lead. I highly suggest you go watch the video of that home run. You had 2 Marlin outfielders come together, and they hit it over the fence with their gloves. Yes, it's not going to be a home run. Literally bounced off one of their mitts, bounced over the fence for a 2-run home run. Oops. Royals beating the Twins 2-1 in Kansas City in the 6th inning. Jack Caglione go-ahead 2-run single in the 3rd in that one. Angels beat the Orioles earlier today 4-1. Zach Neto, his 20th home run of the year in that one. Reds beat the A's 6-5 in Cincinnati. Reds hit 4 home runs. Ellie De La Cruz, Sal Stewart, Tyler Stevenson, and J.J. Bleday hit home runs for the Reds in that one. Mets beat up on the Guardians 13-6 in Cleveland. Francisco Lindor, a home run in that game, along with Luis Torrens and Marcus Semien hitting home runs for the Mets. The Brewers beat the Pirates 5-2 in Milwaukee. Home runs for Jackson Chourio and Gary Sanchez for the Brew Crew. Cubs won a wild one in Chicago in 11, 3-2. The winning run scored on a double steal of second base and home. PCA Pete Crow Armstrong, not a double steal of second base and home, a double steal of second and third. The throw to third, PCA stealing third, went into left, and then Crow Armstrong scored from third and won the game 3-2 in Chicago. Tigers beat up on the Mariners 11-0 in Seattle. Kevin McGonigal, Dylan Dingler home runs in that one for the Tigers. And finally, Phillies beat the Nationals earlier today in Philadelphia 7-6. 4-3. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday. Well, the trade deadline has passed. Obviously, a lot of teams making a number of different moves, including the San Diego Padres. And to get a little bit more insight on the trade deadline and what's going on with the Padres and beyond, we send it to Padres Spanish language radio broadcaster Pedro Gutierrez in Arizona.
Thank you, Sam Levitt. I'm joined today by USA Today baseball insider Bob Nightengale, talking a little bit about what happened this week, crazy week in baseball, trade deadline, and as the Padres prepare for this last game on the road trip against the Diamondbacks. Bob, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us.
Sure, my pleasure. Thanks, Pedro.
Bob, in terms, after all the dust has settled, Padres, a couple of big moves, how do you see this team going exactly during the next couple of months after picking up these two valuable pieces for the rotation?
Yeah, I love the moves they made. I think it gives them a fighting chance. I mean, Robbie Ray since June 16th, 1.09 ERA. Casey Mize, a fiery guy, and, he had the hiccup on his debut, but he had 11 days off, too. I love those two moves. And those guys have playoff experience. So I thought the Padres did, A.J. Preller did a great job picking up those two guys.
Well, in terms of how they approached the deadline, was this exactly how you envisioned it? Or were you looking maybe a sort of buy and sell at the same time, try to look at different facets of angles to try to get the team better? Or was it just a push in that you were actually looking that this was going to be the correct moves?
Yeah, you were kind of confused whether they would, like deal Morhone or somebody like that, and they and get some more starters. But I thought they did a great job. They said they could take on some money. They did. They had about $6 million to payroll and didn't have to touch that bullpen. So now you go into the final 2 months, and hopefully for the Padres, October, with a star-studded bullpen. I mean, there's lights out. Just 6 innings and let the bullpen take over.
Bob, as we look also in terms of how the Padres now stack up with the rest of the competition, I know realistically, over 10 games behind the Dodgers, I mean, there's still plenty of time left, but just looking at the realities of baseball currently, how do you see them stacking up with the rest of the competition they have facing a wild card opportunity?
Well, I think the Cubs have got a wild card spot locked up. I mean, they could even overcome the Brewers. But, yeah, I think the Cubs got one spot. The Phillies are very good. Luis Ariz is everything they needed. I think the Phillies are going to get a spot, too. I think, Pedro, it comes down to the Padres and Diamondbacks, which can make that last series of the season really, really intriguing.
Yeah, definitely. As they finish out the season at Petco Park, Game 162, September 27. We have it on the calendar. That could be the moment where the last wild card could be decided. A lot happened also in the NL West. Craig Stammen trade. A lot of opinions, a lot of different points of view regarding how that happened, how that went about. From your perspective, did they pull the trigger too early? From the perspective of the Tigers, did they get enough? Could they maybe got in a little bit of a better package somewhere else if they waited a couple of days? Just in general, how do you see that trade? How do you view it in terms of how did it really came about?
I was surprised, and you talked to different GMs, surprised that they dealt him that early. They dealt him 48 hours beforehand. It's like, why not wait? Why not even bluff or like it's a poker game? If that's the package you end up with, fine, on Monday afternoon, but why do it on a Saturday night? The Brewers were kind of taken aback from that. They thought they had a good package, and they were never really given a chance to improve it. Atlanta made a nice offer. So did Tampa Bay. But it was just, kind of curious to why they just said, okay, that's the best deal. If that's the best deal at, hour before deadline, fine. So we'll see. And, Dodgers only use prospects to get them, not even their top prospects. None were among the top 5. One was a former Padre, one was a former Cub, and their own third-round pick. So, for the Dodgers, if it doesn't work out, they can get away with it. If the Brewers or Tampa had gotten him and say he didn't pitch well, then it would have been a disaster.
Well, and you just mentioned Luis Ariz. We talked about Craig Stammen as the big names that were traded. Besides them, is there anybody you can identify maybe that will be, once we get to the end of the season, that will be the key addition for any of these teams that are actually in the hunt, that are in contention? What player do you signal as maybe being the top player that will be moved once the results come in?
I mean, I like what the Cubs have done a lot. I mean, they got their 2 starters, too, with Kevin Gausman and also Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes is very valuable because you can use him in the bullpen too, since he used to be a former closer, with the Yankees. So those guys both stand out. I love their rise move. I remember talking to Bryce Harper 2 weeks ago. He says, we need somebody that's unlike us because all we do is slug, a lot of strikeouts. Well, Luis Arias is perfect. He doesn't strike out, and it's funny that they're using him as a cleanup spot now, saying, you know what, we just got to drive in runs. And I think his first 4 at-bats so far in the first couple of games, is all RBI hits. So, perfect for them. So we'll see. Nobody else really jumped out. I mean, obviously we're talking about Skubal. I thought Milwaukee did okay getting Dustin May pitched well his first time out. And I like Sensatella from the Rockies. I think it'll be a nice setup man for them, for that bullpen. Milwaukee's still good, but just I wish they had one more big name to go along with Mizrowski.
Bob, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing your inside knowledge of everything that happened this week. It was a crazy week, but now we get back to business. Pennant runs, pennant chases all around, so I'm sure we'll talk to each other again during the course of the season.
Yeah, it's such a fun time in September. The team's going at it, and great for the schedule makers having Padres and Diamondbacks the final weekend. That should be a blast.
Bob Nightengale, baseball insider from USA Today, joining us today. Back to you, Sam Levitt, on the Padres pregame show.
All right, thank you, Pedro. Back here on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show of course. Let's give you our keys to tonight's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number 1, keep raking with RISP. The Padres 9-3 in their last 12 games. A big reason why, when they get runners in scoring position, they capitalize. The Padres are hitting .330 with runners in scoring position in that 12-game span. Got to keep it up here tonight. Key number 2, Tim Tawa. Tim Tawa is 6 for 12 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 5 runs scored in the first 3 games of this series. He has 6 home runs this season, 3 have come against the Padres. So taming Tim Tawa, that is key number 2. And we'll get even deeper into tonight's game when we return. Take a look at tonight's pitching matchup between Walker Buehler and left-hander Cole Drake. First pitch coming up at 6:40 from Arizona on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We send things to Jesse and Tony in under 5 minutes. Series finale between the D-backs and the Padres. Big one tonight in the desert. Let's tell you what to watch for.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game? What version of Walker Buehler did the Padres get tonight? Buehler, 5.18 ERA in 22 starts this season. Last start against the Giants, 4 innings and a third, 3 earned runs given up on 8 hits. His last 3 starts, he's been better. 4.11 ERA doesn't sound all that otherworldly, but consider that Buehler gave up a combined 20 earned runs in his 3 starts before that. Buehler faced the D-backs in Arizona on July 6th, gave up 7 runs in 5 innings. Before that, Buehler had a 0.95 ERA in his previous 6 starts against Arizona. Obviously, a lot of starts against the D-backs in his time as an LA Dodger. Taking a look at the starting pitcher on the mound today for Arizona, left-hander Cole Drake, 26 years old, and just like Mitch Bratt last night, Drake was acquired by Arizona as part of the package that came from Texas for Merrill Kelly last summer. Drake called up just a couple of weeks ago, 3 major league starts, 4.85 ERA, 13 innings, 12 strikeouts. His last start in Cleveland went just 4 innings, 2 runs given up. His only start at home so far in Arizona, his debut, and his best start to date, 5 innings and 1 run allowed. So a veteran right-hander, Walker Buehler, on the mound for the Padres, and left-hander Cole Drake on the mound for Arizona. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. When we come back, we send things out to Chase Field in Phoenix. Jesse Hagler, Tony Gwynn Jr. standing by, ready to go. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Talk to you later.